Right now, wherever you are, you're warm. Maybe you've got a blanket. Maybe there's a cup of something hot within arm's reach. The fridge is full, the lights are on, and if the cold outside creeps in, you just turn a dial. You live inside a climate-controlled bubble you didn't build and don't think about. Now I want you to hold that feeling for a second, because what I'm about to tell you should genuinely terrify you, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet biological way. The kind of terror that settles in when you realize the warm, comfortable version of you that exists right now is a statistical miracle, and that underneath all of it, your body is still running a program written 3 million years ago, a program that remembers winter, and what winter actually meant. Let's start by burning down a myth. When most people imagine our ancestors in winter, they picture something almost cinematic. A rugged hunter dragging a mammoth through the snow, a fire roaring, a tribe gathered in triumph. That image is a lie your brain invented to make you feel better about what you are. The truth is slower, colder, and a lot less heroic. For the vast majority of human prehistory, winter wasn't a season of hunting. It was a season of waiting, of surviving on what little was left. Our ancestors weren't apex predators with a plan. They were scavengers with good enough memory to stockpile badly. They ate what they could find, in the order they could find it. And when fresh food ran out, they turned to what animals had left behind: frozen carcasses, cracked open bones. Not because it was a tradition, because it was that or die. Picture it without the romantic filter. A group of people crouched over a carcass that's been half-eaten by something else, using rocks to break femur bones so they could suck out the marrow inside. Grease running down their chins, hands numb, the smell of old blood and cold fat thick in the air. This wasn't a feast. This was the bottom of the barrel. And the body loved it. Here's the part that actually matters. And this is where biology stops being disgusting and starts being fascinating. Fat was not a dietary choice. Fat was the currency of survival. A gram of fat contains more than twice the calories of a gram of protein or carbohydrate. In a world with no guarantees about tomorrow's food, loading up on the densest possible energy source wasn't gluttony. It was the only logical move. The brains that preferred fat, that craved fat, that went out of their way to extract fat from frozen bone marrow at minus 15 degrees, those brains survived. The ones that didn't? Gone. Edited out. And then something happened that changed everything. Fire. Not just fire for warmth, fire for cooking. And cooking is something that most people wildly underestimate in terms of what it did to the human body. When you apply heat to food, you start the breakdown process before the food even enters your body. You're essentially pre-digesting it externally. Proteins denature, starches gelatinize, energy becomes more bioavailable. A cooked tuber delivers dramatically more usable calories than a raw one. The result? The gut could shrink because it didn't have to work as hard. And when the gut shrinks, the energy that was maintaining it gets redirected toward the brain. The human brain costs an enormous amount to run. It consumes a disproportionate share of your body's total energy, sitting in your skull and doing almost nothing visible. That's only possible because cooking freed up the metabolic budget to grow it. Winter forced ingenuity. Ingenuity produced fire. Fire produced us. But here's the mirror. That 3 million-year-old program is still running in you, right now, and the food industry knows it better than you do. Why do you crave sugar in November? Because your body reads shorter days as a signal. Winter is coming. Fatten up. Why does a burger taste better than a salad? Because one of them is calorie-dense, fat-rich, and protein-loaded, exactly what your Stone Age operating system is always scanning for. The craving isn't weakness. It's the same survival mechanism that kept your ancestors alive through months of frozen nothing. The only difference is that now the hunt ends at a drive-through window, and the scarcity never comes. Sugar is just energy wearing a modern costume. Ultra-processed food is literally engineered to hit every reward pathway your prehistoric brain has. Fat, salt, sugar, density, all at once. You're not failing at willpower, you're succeeding at being human. The system isn't broken. It's running exactly as designed, in an environment it was never designed for. And now we get to the part that most history channels skip. Winter wasn't just about eating what was available. In some groups, winter meant eating what, or who, was no longer available to resist. Ritual cannibalism, not the desperate last resort kind that shows up in survivor stories. Not starvation cannibalism. intentional, ceremonial, cold-blooded cannibalism. We know this because the evidence is specific and recurring across multiple prehistoric sites. Human bones found alongside animal bones, processed in exactly the same way. Marrow extracted, flesh scraped, skulls modified into bowls, bones engraved after the meat was removed. The caloric math doesn't add up as a survival strategy. A single adult human body doesn't provide enough calories to meaningfully sustain a group through winter. So this wasn't the last exit. This was something else, something ritualistic, a belief system we can no longer fully decode, carried out with the same methodical intention as any other winter preparation. The cold outside, the bodies inside, the ritual in between. That's not a comfortable thought. It's not supposed to be. What is comfortable, or at least ironic, is what came after. Because the same instinct that led humans to preserve, ferment, and transform food to survive winter eventually gave us something you probably had for breakfast without thinking twice. Cheese is controlled rot. Yogurt is intentional bacterial colonization. Wine is grape juice that's been consumed by microorganisms and transformed into something else entirely. Salami, sauerkraut, aged anything, all of it is the direct descendant of the discovery that letting something decompose in a specific managed way makes it last longer and taste better. The mold on a wheel of brie isn't an accident you're tolerating, it's the technology. Your ancestors didn't invent fermentation out of sophistication. They invented it because the alternative was starvation, and the decomposing leftovers that survived longest happened to be the ones with the right bacterial activity. The shelf at the gourmet grocery store and the frozen carcass in the snow are the same story. One of them just has better lighting. So here's where we've arrived. 3 million years of winters, scavenged fat, cracked bones, fire, cooked tubers, brains expanding, rituals we don't talk about, fermentation that became cuisine, and now, you, the output of all of it. That craving you feel at midnight when you drift toward the kitchen isn't random. It's the same impulse that drove someone to crack open a frozen femur in the dark. The same program, running the same loop, looking for the same thing it was always looking for. Density, warmth, survival, just a little more time. Here's the thought I want you to sit with. Imagine taking one of your ancestors, someone who lived through real winters, who survived on marrow and luck and fire, and placing them in your kitchen. Just for a moment. Watch their face as they open your refrigerator. Meat that was never fought for. Fat that cost nothing, fruit that shouldn't exist in this season, bread, cheese, sugar in 17 different forms. All of it temperature-controlled, sealed, available at any hour without effort. To them, this isn't a kitchen, this is the hoard of a god, and now flip it. Imagine yourself in their winter. No stored food, no insulated walls, a fire you have to maintain or die, cold that isn't an inconvenience, it's a predator. The question isn't what to eat tonight. The question is whether there is anything at all. You are the first version of this animal that doesn't have to answer that question. For the entirety of human existence, for every winter that ever happened, survival was not guaranteed. Not once. Not for anyone. Until now. Until you. The refrigerator hums in the dark. The blanket is warm. The temperature is whatever you set it to. You didn't earn this. You inherited it. From every person who cracked a bone, fed a fire, lasted one more winter, and passed the program forward.